Puffins and hammers, acrobats and swag, the metric system.
Welcome to part 2 of our Ask Reach speedrun guide. This guide will cover the second half of the game. If you haven't watched the first video, I recommend going and doing that now. While this video does cover some of the fastest paths and a few alternates, the first video introduces concepts that should guide you in case you haven't memorized the whole level or if something doesn't go perfectly. You'll see these concepts pop up from time to time at the bottom of the screen when they are used or particularly pertinent. One other quick note before we get started. Throughout the video, you can look in the upper left-hand corner of the screen for a letter and a number, referencing which memory and which section of the memory we are on. Use these if you have a particular question about a particular place in the run. And with that out of the way, let's get started on the guide. To start off, let me introduce to you our co-host for this speedrunning guide. Normally, this master of revenge would need no introduction, but his agency has only allowed him to make an appearance if we promise to cast him in shadow and modulate his voice so no one can recognize him. So welcome, what should we call you?
It's me!
Well, welcome, Mr. M. Right off the bat, we're going to start by reminding you that throwing knives are a perfectly acceptable way to get through enemies, but double slide kills are faster, though they require more skill. The game will then try to teach us how to blend in with crowds. Next, we'll do a trick where we run as close to these vision cones as possible without actually being seen and place a noise dart behind these two guards before slide killing the lower one. If you get spotted there, they close a giant door and you have to go a very long way around. The tricks don't stop there. Go as fast as you can, place a noise dart high so only the guard on the second floor can hear it, slide kill the first guard, then fire your cracker away through the next few. Next, I want to show you a trick that you might be able to find a few uses for throughout the game. First, we'll do a normal firecracker kill on this guard, but watch this other technique. We'll use the firecracker like a noise dart to move the guard's vision cone and slide kill under it. We save a few frames of trying to aim our firecracker actually on the guard. Experiment with this to see if you can save time elsewhere in the speedrun with this trick. Wait, what's the matter, Mr. M? Why are you frowning?
It's me!
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. M. This is a very fast level with a lot of tricks, and at the time of the making of this video, the current record is 2 minutes and 1 second, making it the shortest level in the game.
It's me!
Yeah, I know you want to clear up your image from being a murderous revenge monster, and we'll certainly get to that. But right now, this video is first and foremost about the speedrun, and I want to show what happens if you mess up this next trick. Just get through the guards, and reload the checkpoint a little after you fall lower level. It should reset you to a nice place. At that point, just time your moves right to get to the ladder at the far edge and clear the level.
It's me! It's me!
Wait, no! Don't leave! There's a part coming up that we wanted your special expertise for. Just let me show how you do this area correctly first. Now I'll show you the way this area is supposed to look. Select your whistle and make its range big enough to get just the first guard. Then drop down and slide kill both guards on that level. This is one of the new and exciting places where whistle is being used. Hopefully, as more people join our community, more places will be found where whistling is the fastest route. We then drop down to the docks and jump between the two hiding places in the foreground before making our way to the ladder ahead. Once we clear that ladder, we won't have any more enemies for the rest of the level. So if you have firecrackers and think they would help you speed up your way through any of the last few guards, give it a go. So now, Mr. M, I'd like your opinion on the best way to get through this next challenge.
It's me! It's me! It's me! It's me!
You! No! 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 We have a barrel problem. I want you to help us with this barrel problem.
It's me! It's me!
Did he really just run away? Well, hopefully he comes back for the next memory. Welcome to Memory 7.
It's me!
Welcome back, Mr. M.
It's me!
Really? You went to have a snack? You didn't just run away because you saw some barrels? This first guard seems to be random as to whether he turns his back to us or not. Either way, kill him and then his friend. This next part is one that I used to have a lot of trouble with, but now I just go top speed. You can let the guard up top see you, and if you're going top speed, you should be able to assassinate the lower guard with a slide kill. Then do times of climbing, shimmying, and hopping. If the upper guard is still looking for you when it's time to climb right under him, try using a noise dart to redirect his gaze. After that, we'll have 2 more guards to deal with. Hopefully by this point you've used only 2 firecrackers, because things are going to be tight in this level, and saving one till the end could be clutch. However, if you had to use more than that to get through here, just stick to the core concepts to get by guards without using firecrackers wherever possible.
It's me.
Hey, I'm glad you pointed that out. The different outfits are just cosmetic unlocks in the game. The white outfit does, however, look faster because it blows around more while you're jumping around.
It's me. It's me.
You look the same as you always do.
It's me. It's me. It's me.
Good question. That was a cutscene showing us an experience gaining side quest. We don't need experience though. In this next part we will try to drop and jump as fast as possible to climb in the first window on the left side of the guard. We then jump out the next window, shimmy over and wait for the guard with the halberd to run past us before climbing back up and jumping to the last few windows to exit this room. That room can be very difficult, or you can actually get through it without being seen. Learn to adapt in it, use firecrackers where you need to. Up here, if we've gotten fast enough, which we haven't in this video, you just climb up and slide kill the middle guard and drop down the other side. Here we are a little bit slow and we bump into a guard, so we waste precious firecrackers, but we press on anyway. Make use of big jumps to get by these next guards, and now we enter an area with lots of different possible paths. I'll show you the current world record pace path, but if you want to experiment with going over the rafters or climbing out the windows here, you might find something new and amazing. I perform a slide kill and then a block and roll here. You could just as easily jump between hidey holes behind the guards to get by them. However, you want to alert the last guard so he opens the door for you. Kill him and move on. Moving on, you really want 2 firecrackers. 1 is okay, and if you have 0, you need to follow the game's instructions during this tutorial of using Helix Dash, or as I like to call it, magic powers. My speedrun of this game used to be littered with magic powers, but now every place where I used to use them, we found faster routes without.
It's me.
Well yeah, it kind of is.
It's me.
No, we're not gonna do that.
It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me.
Okay, see you next memory. Now that Mr. M is gone, we'll tackle the last area of the memory, the boss. Like all the other bosses, if we get spotted by this one, we have to have a fight, so getting the drop on him is the key. Where this boss is and his back and forth route can vary, so I'm showing you the worst case scenario. This route I'm showing is the firecracker route, so we can stun this guard, and then we can go as fast as possible to get up top and kill the boss. However, in the second round I'm going to show, we don't have the firecracker. We have to wait for the guard to turn his back, assassinate him, and then stall until the boss is in a position for us to get behind him and kill him. As you can see, this stalling that we're doing looks very unsafe and is rather inconsistent. The guards that spot us could actually kill us or knock us down from our hanging point before we manage our assassination. In this last route, we take a path where we aren't punished for killing. Nobody will spot us or the bodies, and then we can kill the boss because we come from the middle, so either we can kill him from falling, or his back will be towards us. Onwards to Memory 8. Memory 8 starts off fast and furious. The game tries to give you a tutorial of hiding behind locked doors, and the guards won't come into the room until you hide behind the locked door in an overly long animation. However, we just whistle to trigger the guards. The game strongly suggests we hide during these waves of guards, but I'll show you 3 ways to get through them, starting with block rolling, then diving between covers, and finally, just firecrackers. We're going to be many places in this level where firecrackers will be helpful, and while it's possible, and as you get better, not terribly difficult to beat the level on just your starting firecrackers, the game has also placed refills in very generous places. So in this guide, you'll see me collect some refills on this memory.
It's me. It's me.
Cannolis are filled with cheese? Huh. Guess you learn something new every day. Well, I like to call this level the bridge, because most of the level is, well, a bridge. For those of you who have played this game before, you probably remember climbing a large tower just after you set it on fire as a distraction to clear the bridge. That route is much slower than the route we're gonna take.
It's me. It's me. It's me.
You like refrigerated cannolis? I like them fresh. Anyway, up ahead you have 3 guards to kill. The less firecrackers you use, the better for later, but just do what you gotta do. Now we have to get by this gate. Because we didn't light the large tower on fire, we have to hand crank it over here. And as a little treat, I'll show you a place where a big drop does not save you time. If you try to shave seconds by dropping here, you could end back way further in the memory. We'll then cut to another demonstration of opening the gate. This time the guard spots us while we're trying to crank the crank, and you'll notice that it makes absolutely no difference in our plans. From this point on, there will be 3 guards left to eliminate on the bridge. Use daggers or firecrackers or a noise dart on the first one, then try to get the last 2 with 1 firecracker to conserve ammo. But don't worry if you end up using more. Now we have to get by another unopened gate in the bridge. We'll go under, but not here, over there. We drop under the bridge, use a throwing dagger to cut the rope, and wait for a boat to get underneath us. Because we need a throwing dagger here, make sure not to use all 6 before this point. Another note of caution, do not drop onto the boat too early. You will fall in the water. Your respawn point is a ways back, and the boat will disappear, meaning you have to take the upper route on the bridge, which involves climbing above it, turning another crank to open a gate, climbing down, using more resources than you have to get past guards, and taking a long time doing it. Long story short, wait for the boat to be underneath you. We take a sneaky underground route to finish the bridge, and then have this part, which I think is pretty fun. It takes none of your ammo to get through here at high speeds. Go fast here, and the guard's vision cone should not turn fully red, which is when they start throwing stuff at you.
It's me.
I don't think so. These guards barely seem to care about what they're doing. I doubt any of them are dedicated enough to rip a bone out of their own body and throw it at us in hopes of getting one lucky shot that slows us down. Okay, we have a cutscene here. If we reload the checkpoint, we don't have the cutscene, and the enemies go into a different, far more difficult pattern. So do not reload this checkpoint. I noise dart high in between these 2 guards, then double slide kill. After that, I will noise dart behind a guard on the floor above me to get his back to me so I can slide kill him, and then slide kill the final guard in this area. This area is a lot more difficult to do fast if you reload the checkpoint, so if something happens and you get spotted, use whatever it takes just to get through so you don't reload. This is a reinforcement zone with lots of reinforcement doors, meaning many enemies will spawn if you get spotted. So included in this guide is a look at what happens here if I get spotted. I only have 1 firecracker, so I have to use it wisely. I block and roll over some guys, and if I had to, I would just straight up fight them. Once I get over all the guards, I firecracker the last one so they can't chase me while I turn the crank, opening my escape. In the escape area directly to the left is a firecracker refill. Grab those if you have less than 2. You need 2 for the last area of the memory.
It's me.
No, don't reload there. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It's me.
Okay, we made it without reloading, and in this video I restocked my firecrackers because I have less than 2, and now I move on to my favorite area of the entire game. In the following area, the game puts you in a building and says you can't leave until you assassinate all 7 guards. It gives you access to every ability in the game and has lots of foreground and background to hide and shimmy along, and plenty of places to hide bodies. It's a ton of fun to try to figure out the best way to do this, so if you haven't played this game yet, I recommend skipping ahead in the video so you get to figure this out for yourself the first time.
It's me. It's me.
Alright, see you next memory, Mr. M. There are 3 floors with guards and 2 more without. We'll start by going hard and fast to the right and take out 1 guard using a firecracker and a slide kill. We take out this guard first because another one spawns shortly near him, and later it's difficult to take them both out without summoning reinforcements. When the second guard comes out the door, wait a second until his back is towards you to slide kill him. Then run hard and fast to the left side of the floor to firecracker and slide kill the last guard on this floor. We then drop down and perform a drop assassination when the skull icon is above the next guard's head. In this first take we're a little slow and have to do monkey bars our way to get to him, but I also put in a video of what it looks like if we aren't slow. So in this take, we're just a little bit faster and run just a step further before dropping down on the floor below us, allowing us to skip the long monkey bar. We take out the first guard and then slide kill the next guard who's just looking out over the edge. Now the game gives us a chance to do a drop assassination on the guard below. We hit the button, but the game just swings our sword. Shucks. Well, if you can get the drop assassination there, do it, then climb the ladder below the last guard and kill him to beat the level. Otherwise, do it this way. Onward to Memory 9. We start Memory 9 off with 2 different routes, the first being a stealthy safe route, the second being an action-packed firecracker route. Firecracker route saves about a second. The reason I show both is that while you're trying to learn the whole route, it might be easier to try not to squeeze every last second out while you're just trying to get a feel for the overall picture of the game. Get comfy with the run flow and the mechanics, then start integrating the saves that save every last little second that we know. The firecracker route also leads to reinforcements, but they're stupid. Just go the way you normally would, and they won't see you. Coming up, we have what might just be my favorite skip in the game. It might even look like it's the intended path for someone not familiar with the level, but we just run and jump off the ledge here, effectively skipping a whole set of puzzles. After that, place a noise dart above the first guard and then slide kill both of these guards. Now we view a cutscene where we get the level side mission of saving the concubines.
It's me.
Yes, Mr. M. We're gonna save porcupines, because that makes a whole lot of sense.
It's me. It's me.
I have no idea what a tanuki is, Mr. M, but if we get a quick slide kill and then jump as fast as we can here, we don't have to kill anyone else while we get out of this area. We then throw a noise dart so only the first guard can hear it. Be careful about jumping here. This is a type of ground that jumping alerts the guards, so if you jump in the wrong places, they will turn and face you and you'll have to fight them. Now I'm going to quickly show you where not to go. Do not climb up this wall, instead duck under it, walk a little ways, and then throw a dagger off screen to cut the rope to bring down the ledge. While we're running and climbing, I want to prepare you for something coming up. Back in the first video, when we covered the concept of firecrackers probably being the answer, I mentioned that one of their uses is to allow you to just run by guys. We're going to see a prime example of that ahead. We'll throw a firecracker at a guard in a second-story window. That guard would normally spot you and shoot you as you try to climb up a wall, knocking you off the wall several times before you finally get to the top, costing you an annoying amount of time. So, firecrackers are the answer. Throw a firecracker at him and just run right by.
It's me. It's me.
You can't just turn into a statue. I stand corrected. Here we want to go fast, but we got to be careful about jumping. If you look, there's a platform that's just a little bit lower. If you jump at the wrong time under it, you're going to grab that ledge and you're going to be monkey barring a little bit, which is going to cost you a decent amount of time. Just go forward, kill, go forward, slide under. And if you do everything right, you might hear the sound of a porcupine dying. This next part is the first time in the game forces you to jump off a platform and grab a wall in the background. However, I've been forcing you to do it all speedrun, so it should be old hat by now. By firecrackering and stunning the guard, we make it so we don't have to wait for his vision code to be out of the way before we jump. The stun also makes it so we can jump here without alerting him and fighting him. This next area we sped up a lot. It's a lot of running and jumping. Make sure while you're climbing, you're looking for ways to add jumping to make your climbing faster. Other than that, I was hoping Mr. M would have something to say here, but he seems to not be able to talk as a statue. Oh, there's the last porcupine. We're not going to save her either like the others, but if we're fast enough, we're also not going to get her killed.
It's me.
But you never left.
It's me.
No, you were there the whole time.
It's me.
Sure, if that's what you need to feel good about yourself, we couldn't see the statue occupying the large portion of the screen. Okay, excluding the entirety of Memory 11, this is the hardest part of the game. Kill the first guard before the second guard's vision cone reaches him, distract or stun the second guard, and hang on the outside of the bridge to get around the last two guards of the level. If you do that without getting caught, you can climb up to the upper level and just run and kill through everything. However, if things go wrong, this can get rough. The last two guards on the lower level are types you cannot block and roll over, and the guy carrying the gun shoots 4 rapid shots in succession. Here's an example of being spotted at this point with only one firecracker. I have to think on my toes as I can't block and roll over 2 guards. I use the firecracker on one and hang outside the bridge to get by the second. If things go wrong, do whatever it takes to climb the ladder. If you can climb the ladder, you can reset the checkpoint and you'll restart at the top of the ladder with nobody alerted to you. From this point on in the level, the only tool we'll need is the whistle. So if you've burned all your firecrackers or all your noise darts, you're okay, you don't need to restock any of them. Pause just a second to let this guard turn around and then slide kill him. Run through to the next room and hop out the window. There should be a guard looking out the last window. You'll learn as you play this level more to time your jumps while climbing to minimize your time in his vision code, so he doesn't throw as many projectiles at you. We'll skip these 2 guards by climbing over them, and then get your whistle ready. We're going to be using the whistle for a really cool trick here. As you're climbing into the window, make your whistle into the largest circle you can. When you actually get through the window into the room, perform the whistle. It will draw 2 guards off from the next area you want to run through. These are the last 2 guards of the memory.
It's me. It's me.
I think we'll just see you there, Mr. M. But he's right. Onward to Memory 10. I'm kind of happy Agent 47 isn't still here. He would have been upset that we're cutting out dropping chandeliers on an assassination part. This is the only boss in the game where you have to fight. Let me teach you the quick kill. It's super easy and very important. While the cutscene is setting up this fight, start spamming your heavy attack button. As soon as the cutscene's over, you'll miss on the first attack and then hit him with the second. Then bust out your throwing daggers and throw all of them at the boss. A skull should then appear above him, allowing you to hit the assassination button. We won't be needing any more daggers for the rest of the level, so don't bother restocking and just run out. Most of the rest of the level is straightforward, so I'm going to fast forward through it, pointing out minor skips where I can. This is a speedrunning level, meaning there are no points awarded for stealth. The points are awarded for how fast you complete the level, and most interactions are designed for you to slide kill your way through. In this room, work on timing your jumps when climbing the ladder so you don't accidentally monkey bar on the ceiling. Then, while jumping on the chandeliers, make sure you are jumping at the last second to land on top of the next one, instead of grabbing the side and pulling yourself up. Here, slide kill the first two guards, then rope dart instead of killing the last guard. This next area is going to have floor that will fall just before you get to it. Memorize that spot to make sure you're not in mid-air when the floor falls and land in the fire where the floor used to be. After that, we have a lot more jumping in a level that is changing just before you get there due to the fire. The same obstacles will fall every time, so it might be in your best interest to play this level over a few times to get a feel for the shifting parts of this level. By the way, where's Mr. M? I thought he was going to race me to this level. Alright, we're coming upon the end of the level. We'll slow it down so the final jumps can be seen easily. Jump from where I do to hit the gap in the scaffolding, and then catch the last ledge. Turn around, and just jump to save plenty of wall climbing. Onward to the dreaded Memory 11. I would like to start off Memory 11 with the biggest disclaimer I can. This game is broken up into puzzles. You can look in the upper left-hand corner of the screen to see what puzzle we are on. In this case, 11A. When you hit certain points, all the guards in the next puzzle will start moving. Depending on how long it takes you to get to them, they might be in a different position than the last time you were there. In Memory 11, due to the sheer density of guards, these minor time differences will make very different puzzles incredibly different when you get to them. This means that while I'll show you my favorite routes through the puzzles in this guide, this already 8-minute chapter would become a 30-minute video on its own if I showed every possible guard position that I've come across and how to solve it. Use the concepts we've learned to adapt my strategies are not possible for your own particular run. That route you just saw through this puzzle is the fastest route, but here's a video of it not going quite right and me having to adapt. If you want a safer, more consistent route through this puzzle, rope dart your way to the top floor of these lookout towers where there are no guards. In this next puzzle, pull out your whistle and whistle to bring the leftmost guard further left. If you go at light speeds, you can then slide kill the next two guards. As you're starting though to learn this game, slide killing the first one and assassinating the second one will probably be the standard.
It's me.
What race?
It's me.
We did Memory 10 in like a minute. You missed the whole thing. Here, Firecracker the second guard. It distracts the first guard for a slide kill, and then the second one is already stunned for another slide kill. If things go wrong and guards get alerted here though, it's okay. I find the next part easier when the guards are on alert. In order to do this part, hold left and press the rope dart. It might take some time to get the feel for this trick. It's the only part in the game where you ask to throw an angled rope dart. I wonder if we can find other areas of the game where that trick is useful. Now we save time by just taking a big jump off this pole. In this next puzzle, I tried to capture footage of the world record strats, but the guards didn't behave correctly for me, so I throw a nice dart here to distract the upper two guards, then jump over their heads and deal with the lower two guards. In the world record individual level run of this video, multiple guards are just looking out over the edge so you can run by most of them.
It's me.
Yeah, what about it?
It's me.
She's an assassin. Would you really want to play with her?
It's me. It's me.
Is the King of Ghosts really technically undead? Doesn't really matter. So in this part I'm going to show you two routes. I'm going to show you a safe route that involves going along the bottom. It's a lot slower, and the faster route using firecrackers to go right through, which is a lot faster. Sound familiar? It's kind of the way a lot of this game is going, isn't it? I know I've mentioned this before, but if you pay attention to the two types of guards at the end of this puzzle, one is holding a big gun, and the other is holding what looks like a spear with an axe blade at the end. That's called a halberd. Neither of these enemies can be blocked and rolled on, so if you block their attack and try to roll over them, they will just throw you back and you will be temporarily vulnerable to attack. So get around them, firecracker them, or kill them with throwing daggers. We'll fast forward the video here, it's just running and jumping, but do look for ways to apply concepts during these sections to save time. We now come upon two different routes to the same area, but unlike every other time we've done this, the first route is not only the safe route, it's the fastest. The second route is a way to restock 3 of your firecrackers without losing too much time if you feel like you would need more for the rest of the level. Due to the volatility of this level, knowing the firecracker restock could actually save you time later, but here it is slower. We leap of faith here, and when we get out of the hay, that's where the two different routes would merge up. Here's the second route across the bridge. We end up using an extra firecracker here because during all the transitions between climbing areas, we accidentally come into view of the guards. Use a firecracker and decide to restock by taking the route that avoids the leap of faith. Here we are, passing that haystack again, which is where the two paths merge. And now we're at the halfway point of the memory by time, but we only have 4 of 12 puzzles left, meaning the remaining areas are very long. Let's start this puzzle out with a game of chicken. We're gonna slide down a pole, and the fastest way down is, well... Woo! That was fun. I have no advice for that trick besides to practice it. If you grab too soon, you end up having to slow slide for a long time. If you wait too long, you fall all the way down to the bottom of the level and get sent back to the last checkpoint. With these next two guards, you have to adapt your strategy based on how far apart they are and where they're looking. If they're right next to each other, firecracker just like this, a little further, noise dart in the air between them, and if you get spotted, just do what you have to do. For these lower two guards, you'll have to adapt your route to their position as well. I like to use the windows here a lot because you can hop all the way to the wheel you need to crank through the windows. But if they're looking out the windows, stay inside and run by them or just slide kill them. Crank the wheel to connect the bridge and open up the door to the next area. While climbing under the bridge, depending on your firecrackers or throwing daggers, you can decide whether to hop out early and kill the last guard like we do in this video, or you can just monkey bar for 1 second longer, pull yourself up after the third guard passes. The rest of this puzzle is a joke since we don't care about stealth, so we're going to speed this up. One thing to point out, look at the way we jump in between the two hanging cubes. We skip the inside of them before jumping to save some time. Here's another puzzle area with different levels, and this area actually has different exits that lead completely different places in the memory. The way you want to go to avoid extra areas in this memory is the top level. It's also the safest route, so just get up to the top and kill or go around the ledges to get by the guards up top. This route skips a lot of parts you might remember from a casual playthrough. Now we drop down a path that looks like we're actually going backwards in the level, but instead we turn and make a blind leap off a ledge in order to skip a bunch of climbing and jumping.
It's me! It's me!
I can't blame you, Mr. M. Sorry I didn't leave much time for you this memory. Next one we'll have fun. I love the route through here. Pause just a second until the guard on top is looking high, then go fast! The window to jump here isn't very large. Rope dart to the top level and then just jump on out. I think some of my favorite routes in the game are when the speed routes are also the stealth routes. And now we come across the last puzzle in the game. There's one more memory, but it's a speedrunning one, so there's no graded puzzles in it. This one is long. You might have to adapt which guards you use firecrackers on here to make sure you aren't spotted, but the route I have here is the fastest and you should be able to get through every time with just 1 firecracker and 3 throwing daggers, or 2 firecrackers. And you can even get through here with less sometimes. There are many routes to get to these 2 wheels that we have to crank, but the ones I take are the most direct and deal with the least guards as long as reinforcements don't get summoned. One last trick I want to point out here is I used to worry about the blue guard to our left here, but I recently learned that if you just go fast, he can't do a thing to bother you even if he spots you. Firecracker or dagger the last guard here, crank the wheel, and then make your way to memory 12. Onward to the final memory of the game. made it to the final memory of this game, and because it is a speedrunning level, we will be fast forwarding through most of it. The key to this final memory is making sure you jump at the right time to land on the next platform whenever possible. You don't want to jump early to catch ledges and have to pull yourself up. One other thing to watch out for in this memory is if you are running towards an enemy and there's a ladder that you can climb down between you and that enemy, chances are a cannonball will knock out the wall where your enemy is standing and you will have to climb or drop down that ladder. So be ready for that. A lot. Right here there's a very minor trick. The ladder you are climbing has a hole in it. The game suggests you jump to another ladder, but you can just jump straight up and climb the whole way and stay on the same ladder. The rest of this level is straightforward until the end of the level, where we will slow things down and explain what is going on. Other than that, thank you for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video to let us know if we should keep making speedrunning guides in this style with different co-commentators.
It's me.
I'm not going to say a straight out no, Mr. M, but we do kind of want to mix it up and have some other guests.
It's me. It's me.
What is up with everybody's Doom Guy love?
It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta follow your heart.
It's me. It's me.
So he's gone, but that's okay. We're just in time for the final trick of the game. As soon as the cutscene starts, reload the checkpoint to skip it and position the enemies. The game suggests we turn a wheel, then climb up and do a leap of faith off the ledge. Instead, we'll just run right off that ledge and hang down before jumping and doing an air assassination on this enemy. If the air assassination doesn't work for you, just firecracker and slide kill your way out of there. We have 2 enemies left, then the final boss. Firecracker and slide kills can get you by these first 2, but sometimes it alerts the boss. If that happens, just wait until the boss turns around. Fighting him isn't really an option. If that doesn't work for you a lot, then try using noise darts instead of the firecracker, and this is less likely to alert the boss. Assassinate the boss, and at the exact moment that you hit the button to assassinate him, stop your timer. You're done. Congratulations. So what happens now? Give the speedrun a try, and then try again. Practice it, use these tricks, and apply the concepts. Then take your speedrun and submit your time to speedrun.com. The one downside I think of this whole run is that you'll have to look back through your video and add up all the level times to get the in-game time. But do that anyway. So let's say you mastered all these tricks and have matched the current world record, but you want to beat the world record. What's next? It's time to look for faster routes. Use the concepts we've covered and apply them to places we might not have so far. Try using magic powers like Helix Dash and Helix Kill. They have been routed out of the run, but maybe they shouldn't have been. And lastly, if you know about breaking games from other speedruns, try finding death warps, damage boosts to get over barriers, out of bounds, and finally zipping, which I can personally confirm does exist. I have zipped twice accidentally, but I have not been able to recreate it intentionally or sadly grab it on film. Thank you for watching. So I used to work with this girl who will probably never mention again on the stream because this is the only story that I have of her. But one day she walked up to me with this big old smile and she said, "Why does Mario wear overalls?" And I said, "I don't know. Why?" And she said, "Denim, denim, denim. Denim, denim, denim." It's the only memory I have of that person.